I want you all to see this. This is the much talked about Education Week report, Quality Counts. This has been quoted by a lot of state officials, including the governor and everyone, to say how well Florida is doing in education. Indeed, Florida ranked 8th in that report. The governor came out with a statement about it, where we talked about how well we're doing on school accountability. We're an A. Unfortunately, in that same report, we were taken down by spending. School spending, we were an F. Even still, the governor did come out with a press release that said this, quote, "Even in the face of difficult financial conditions, Florida's education system has proven that a solid foundation and committed teaching force can make improvement a possibility under any circumstances. Progress in the face of uncertainty can be an overwhelming prospect, but Florida's teachers and school leaders have clearly shown that they are up for the challenge." And indeed, in the report, it does say that Florida remains 4th in the nation in the teaching profession category. 4th. Florida remains 7th in the nation in K-12 achievement. 7th. And Florida's ranked 9th in the nation in terms of math progress, and was tied with New York for 1st in closing the math poverty gap over the last 7 years. This is what Education Week has reported. And yet, my problem with this bill is that it is misdirected. It is firing our missiles not at the problem of lack of funding, which we were an F, but at our teachers. The teachers who have gotten us to 8th overall and 4th when it comes to teacher quality. So this is why I have this amendment, to slow down this rush to punish our teachers, because this is not reform, this is punishment. This is an unfunded mandate. This is, because, I mean, after all, who's going to pay for this? If you look at the bill analysis, it says that it's indeterminate what this bill will cost. Indeterminate does not mean free. Indeterminate means we can't calculate the amounts, but it will be in the hundreds of millions, possibly more, probably in the billions. It is an unfunded mandate onto local governments. And it's even worse than that, really. Quite frankly, it's worse than that. It's worse, because it takes money away from local governments. There's a provision in here that takes 5% from the FEFP every year. That's $900 million a year, taken away from our schools and sent up to Tallahassee. Well, how are we going to fill that gap? How are school districts going to fill that gap? Are they going to raise taxes? Are they going to lay off teachers? The bill doesn't say. The other problem I have is that it removes local control over our schools. It turns controls over our schools over to unelected state officials. We're from Tallahassee, we're here to help. That's what this bill says. I remember when Governor Bush came up with his inaugural speech, and he said, you know, one day the dream is to have empty buildings in Tallahassee. Well, if that dream of Governor Bush ever comes true, it'll be because all the state employees will be out of their buildings and into the Turlington building, because that's going to be the most packed building here. Because that's where all education policy is going to be decided. Not in the counties, not in our local governments, not in our neighborhoods. It's going to be at the Turlington building by state bureaucrats. It removes all the experimentation that we have around the state. I thought reform, I thought that when you have little laboratories of democracy, they were in our counties. I thought that the fact that we recently had all these deregulated public school pilot programs, I thought that was a good thing. But this bill, by its own wording, will remove it all. Will eliminate the deregulated public school pilot programs. It eliminates the academic performance-based charter school districts. Our charter school district in Palm Beach County, gone. Orange County, gone. Volusia County, gone. Hillsborough County, gone. And instead of deregulation at the local level, instead of experimentation, we're going to have top-down, one-size-fits-all. We're going to have Tallahassee make the decisions. Make sure you're comfortable with that when you vote for this bill. And finally, I think perhaps my greatest problem with the bill is that it is unconstitutional. I just want to read you from the Constitution. Article 1, Section 6. The right of employees by and through a labor organization to bargain collectively shall not be denied or abridged. In the bill analysis, it explains further on this. And it says, the Florida law mandates that you have collective bargaining that encompasses wages and terms of conditions of employment. It's right there. Here's another provision. Article 9, Section 4 of the Constitution. The school board shall operate, control, and supervise all free public schools within the school district, not the state, So this bill is blatantly unconstitutional. If you don't believe me, you can ask our other constitutional scholar, my good friend, Senator Gates, who just said, just a few minutes ago, quote, "We can't pick or choose what parts of the Constitution we are going to obey on each day of the year." Senator Gates was right. We can't. This is blatantly unconstitutional. You cannot pass a statute and it cannot overturn the Constitution. So, look, if you want to upset parents and taxpayers, then pass this, because you will be making one group happy. That's constitutional lawyers. They will be working on this for years to come, trying to explain why a Florida statute could overturn the plain language in two separate sections of the Constitution. So the reason why I have this amendment is that this is the better way. What this does is this allows us to slow down and actually take stock where we are and have a task force to review one of our little laboratories of democracy, and that's in Hillsborough County. You see, Hillsborough County is doing this the right way. Hillsborough County has the Gates Grant. It's a $100 million grant. There's money. It's over 7 years. And they are doing what we're trying to do here. They're doing performance pay. They're doing professional development. They're doing stricter teacher appraisals. 40% of a teacher's evaluation is based on performance gains. This is what's going on. It's starting this year. So what the task force would do would allow us to see what happens in Hillsborough County, to see what works and what doesn't work. It allows us to slow down this, and we can learn the lessons in Hillsborough. This is the better way. This is far better than removing local control and imposing unfunded mandates and taking $900 million out of our school districts. This is better than passing a law that will certainly be ruled unconstitutional by the courts. I understand we want to be first. I understand we want to be leaders. I understand we want to catch the early train. But this is a runaway train, and it needs to be stopped. I urge you to support my amendment.